scar went away. This one, entirely different. Swelling's gone down, the scar's still there.
So you want to stay in San Francisco, huh? Get housing
up
here?
Well, because my doctors are here and they finally have me on medication that works. I've been on high blood pressure medicine since 1982.
So, Ms. Galveston, we're standing in front of the stolen home at 1164 Church Street. Can you tell CNN TV viewers and the world what your life has been like since the bank gangster stole your home?
Okay, I've been staying at, what do they call it, a hotel called Traveler since then. But before that I was staying at an in-home care place called for developmental disabled. Gangsters, Wells Fargo, stole my home on March 28, 2012. I've been displaced. I have never rented anything before in my life, so I'm a fish out of water. I went originally from my grandparents' house, my mother's house, back to my grandparents' house, my husband's parents' house, to my house here at 1164 Church. That's it. And I've been here for almost 40 years, and now I'm looking for housing, and I haven't found any housing yet. And what's going on? I was staying at the Travelodge Hotel and got bitten by bed bugs. They're not going to like this part, but I have scars on my arms to show it. Because of that, I've been moved to another hotel owned by the same people.
How did you guys originally get this house? Was it expensive when you got it? How did you guys afford it? How did you pay for it?
My husband's aunt left us some money, I don't remember how much, when she died, and we were looking around. We gave up looking for a house, and the last place we ended up was on the street.
Can you tell people why
$4,000.
Can you tell people why you say your house? I believe your house was stolen. First of all, let me say. Can you give us a few details of how it was stolen? A few gory details about that, because I think people want to know.
It was. Okay. I spoke to Wells Fargo back in December.
Yeah.
I had a buyer for the property who lives in the neighborhood, who owns the two properties across the street, the fourplex and the duplex on the right. And he said, I would like to buy the house and you and your sister and your dog can stay in it. And I said, okay. So he said, I don't know who to contact at Wells Fargo. So I went to a hearing where I was taking Wells Fargo to court. The judge said, I give you one last time to come to some kind of agreement. So we went in the hallway to discuss what's what, and I said, all I want is for Wells Fargo to be able to talk to the buyer, and the buyer talk to Wells Fargo. That's all I want. And they said, well, we have this document. If you sign it, I said, will he be able to talk to Wells Fargo? And they said yes. And the attorney said, can I be the go-between between Wells Fargo and the buyer? And they said yes.
So when did this take place? This year?
That was back in December. So the attorney gave me 2 business cards. And I gave one to the buyer, and I kept one. And they knew when in the hallway, they knew that they were not going to comply. They knew that they were not going to let the guy talk to them. I didn't know that. I didn't know they were lying to me, because I could have written a stipulation on there and said, if the buyer does not get to talk to Wells Fargo, all bets are off. I was going to write that on there. Something told me to do it, and I didn't do it. And then I found out later that they didn't intend, the reason I found out they didn't intend on talking to the buyer said he called them, he went in person, they would not see him, they would not talk to him, it's like he's not there. So we went on 24th Street, we petitioned and got a whole bunch of signatures from people around the world for Wells Fargo to talk to the buyer. They still did not, they would not. They saw dollar signs, and that's all they saw. And it looks like stardust.
So this property reverts to the bank?
The bank, yeah, Wells Fargo Bank.
So how much did you still owe on it?
Oh God, I don't know. All I know
It
is
was
the
interest.
value.
Did you get in a toxic loan where the interest was just, you were underwater basically on your loan, on your mortgage? Okay.
Yeah.
So in other words, your house value was worth more than your mortgage was worth more than your house.
Yeah, it went all the way up.
And they never lowered the interest rate on your loan, even though the interest rates went down for loans.
There you go.
So you were in one of those kind of loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, those should be illegal.
Yeah.
It's, you know, those people who make those loans belong in jail. I was in one too, so that's how I know.
Okay. And also what they did when we came back from sitting in front of Wells Fargo for all day when it was raining too, they put a note on my porch saying, if you leave now, we'll give you $7,500. If you leave by a certain date, I don't know what date that was. At first I said no. And everybody freaked out because I said no. And then I had them look legally, which was worse, the document that I signed in December or that one. And they said the worst one you have is the one you already signed, so you really have nothing to lose. Well, I had a whole bunch to lose. I lost a lot of office furniture.
Just want to make a few remarks, and I'll make them brief. I'm very saddened, yet I am hopeful in being here today. This house is crying out for justice. It's a house that held so much life for such a long time. You see the colors that Ms. Galvez is wearing, this purple. Well, that's just not a color, it's a spirit. It's a spirit of this house, the spirit that was in this house. A spirit of an African-descended woman and her husband that had a family here, who created a community here, who had friends here, who had life here. And we see and look at this plant, this tree that was planted here, that Ms. Galvez's husband planted. This is the roots that they have in this community. When an elder occupies a community for such a long time, for decades, like what Bruce Allison has often said, that if you're here 2 or 3 decades, you become the community. The community becomes a part of you. This fight is not only against foreclosures, it's a fight against the killing of the spirit and heart of this city, which is so mean and so vile, and it really gets down and dirty at its lowest level. And it's hopeful. It gives me hope to see people here in support of not only Ms. Galvez, but in support of elders like Lehman Brightman, who have spent their lives working for social justice. Elders who have been pried and uprooted from their communities by predatory banks, who have carried out their illegal evictions, leaving elders to deal with homelessness or the threat of homelessness. Elders who are forced to live in their vehicles, their cars, that the city, that the Board of Supervisors wants to make illegal. People that are now living with bed bugs, dealing with bed bugs in motels. Many are elders of color. Many, like Ms. Galvez, are elders that were born and raised here in San Francisco, who have had homes here for many years, who are dealing with catastrophic health issues. Elders like Ms. Galvez and like Fred Wapapa and like Elder Brightman, whose son is here today with us, who have been preyed upon by the banks like Wachovia and Wells Fargo. Kathy Galvez, a San Francisco native, an African-descended elder in a city whose black exodus is a smear, and it was planned many years ago by city planners and big business. I too have family that lived in the Fillmore that was forced out by redevelopment, so we know all about that. Not only that, but I have family that was part of Manila Town, whose lives go back very, very deep with Manila Town. A Manila Town that was erased from memory, but not from our hearts, because the I Hotel is there after 30 years of an empty hole in the ground. We have 130 units of low-cost, low-income senior housing. Elders have fallen ill. There's a lack of affordable housing in San Francisco. Elders like Mr. Brightman, Lehman Brightman of UNA, battling catastrophic illness which has threatened his family with foreclosure.
But today we are blessed to have elders Kathy
Kathy Galvez, as well as Glenna Braven, the son of a family that's being removed as we speak, and then we're expecting Elder Fred Lapiba, as well as some comrades from the neighborhood and the other communities that are working on this. This event is being sponsored by Four Magazine, Eder Stelly Foundation, give it up, Manila Heritage Foundation, the Bayview newspaper, and all people trying to make sure that poor peoples are not forgotten, because the whole story of foreclosure never includes what happens to us when we're out. We don't go away, we don't disappear, we end up in motels getting bitten by bed bugs like our elder comrade Kathy Galvez, where she is right now. So that said, I'm going to ask Miss Galvez to come up and say some words. Come on. Yeah!
I'll move over here. You can stand here.
Okay, I don't know what to say, but I never know what to say, and I just start talking. Okay. So here I am standing in front of my house, looking at what they are doing to it, and I'm appalled. It's a shame. It was a Queen Anne Victorian of a lot of beauty saying, "Look, I am here," and it's thank you, and it's being gutted. It had antique light fixtures in there. They've broken the shades of the reproduction one. They probably broke the other ones too. And I couldn't retrieve those light fixtures because I didn't have anybody to do electrical. That was with me at the time we were leaving. I'm trying to survive. As Tiny said, I'm at a hotel where I pay a daily rate, but right now it's on hold. We're trying to work together with the owner of the hotel well, like this week I don't pay anything, and we're working on another agreement for next month after this first week because of the discovery of the bed bugs.
Thanks to these greedy banks, and they're double and triple dipping on us as a community. You know, my family, my father, is a great man. I can't say enough good words about him. He's one of the founders of the civil rights movement for us as indigenous people. He founded the first Native American Studies program in the United States at UC Berkeley during the Third World Strike. He helped decolonize thousands of people and helped build our community here in the Greater Bay Area, be it the Native American Health Centers in Oakland, San Francisco, the Rehabilitation Center, the first in America, be it the Friendship House over here in San Francisco, and of course the Native American Studies program. Right now, you know, we're facing foreclosure through Wells Fargo. And just like many of you, just like the elder here who lost her home, whose house we're standing in front of, it's a really sad day for us. It's a truly sad day. And this reaches beyond color lines. This reaches to all of us as a community. And it's a long story on what has happened with my father, but he's 82 years old. We're blessed to still have him here. He's fighting right now to save his life. He just recently got off pneumonia. He was suffering from pneumonia for about a week and a half. Thank the Creator, Togashila, blessings of everybody who's been praying for him on our intergenerational, intertribal, prayer vigil for him, and those prayers have definitely been answered. But right now we're in a huge mess on what's going on with our home and our office, our national headquarters of our organization. Now, I look at this as they're attacking us because we are the indigenous resistance. Mm-hmm. We are the real indigenous resistance. We shut down Homeland Security twice in this generation. We have shut down Monsanto for genetically altering our foods and poisoning us as a community. We have done tremendous things, and we continue to do tremendous things since 1968. My mother and father are two of the founders of the movement. Unfortunately, my mother's passed. And right now, Contra Costa County has seized control of my father's estate. They have done this illegally. It should have been given to one of us, be it the family. But you see it all the time where the county steps in issues where there's no power of attorney left. So one of the things that we're dealing with is the fallout of that. My father got sick. He didn't update his, his paperwork as far as a power of attorney, living will. And then the county stepped in and basically took control from us as indigenous people. Now we see this all the time. Every day, they're telling us what to do, how to live, where to be removed, and this is another removal act that they're doing against us as the Brightman family, as indigenous people who are standing up for our rights, and it needs to be stopped. And right now, we have an effort going on right now, which is this: stop the foreclosure on Lehman Brightman's home. Right now, we are trying to raise $353,000 to save my father's home. Now, we're looking at a reinstatement fee of $23,000. But let's say we raise the $23,000, okay? Then you're still going to have to pay off the rest. So, this is the financial crisis that we're dealing with today, and my father's health has, been deteriorating because of the stress that the banks have caused, because of the stress because the negligence and incompetence of Contra Costa County Public Guardian Office for not paying our bills. If they want to take control of someone's estate, the estate is the house. And if they're not paying the bills and they're just taking my father's money, what does that say? That says they don't give a shit about us. They don't care about my father. They don't care about the legacy that my mother and father left. They don't care about us as indigenous people. They would rather see us crumble. Well, I'm here today to ask for support from the community, from everybody here who's going through this same problem, this same connection, man. We got to come together and fight these bastards. We got to come together and stand up, be proud, and unite as a force against these banks. All of these banks don't care about any one of us. They would rather see us homeless. Yep. They would rather see us walking the streets. They would rather see us, living anywhere but inside our homes. In Contra Costa County, Alameda County, and San Francisco County, we've had over 100,000 families who have lost their homes, and are still, that's counting. Every day there are hundreds of people who are losing their homes daily. We have to try to organize all of our community, all the people who have been disenfranchised, who've lost their homes, or are in danger of losing their homes. We got to come together now. And we got to stand up, be proud. This is the movement of today. Unfortunately, thanks to the greed and the corruption that's going on in the world, this is what we as the community have to deal with.
So that means they're incarcerating us when we're on the street, right? So they take our homes, they take our land, and then they put us in the biggest public housing plantation, and we all know what that is, the prison industrial complex. And that said, we need our fighters and our warriors like the Idris Stelly Foundation. Please come on up, Mama Misha, give her a round of applause. Because these are all connected, right? And once we're already on the outside because they've taken our homes, we have to fight just to not be killed. You want me to hold it?
Hi, I'm also one of the organizers of Occupy the Hood, and I'm almost sorry to say today, a member of San Francisco ACE, the Association of Californians for Community Empowerment. I'm extremely disappointed that they're not here today. To me, that's not acceptable. I'm glad that I'm at least here, and I'm ashamed of it, that they didn't show up. I'm also foreclosed. I live in the house that I had bought for my son who was killed by the police 11 years ago at the Matreon, and his ashes are buried on top of the hill in front of the house, and now the bank has pounced on me and foreclosed. But I have filed a restraining order against Bank of America and a motion to cease and resist, so they are immobilized right now since October. They have 3 attorneys now trying to defeat the restraining order from Bank of Mellon, Bank of New York, and Bank of America. And I'm getting ready for round 2. And I'm smiling. Why am I smiling is that Maya Angelou wrote a beautiful poem talking about the deep pain of slavery, the deep pain of colonization, of gentrification, of criminalization. And she said, and yet, I smile. So let's not be afraid to smile. It's our strength. Sister Kathy is fighting the poverty pimps. She bought this house here for $30,000. The poverty pimps repossess it, and it's now appraised at $1.2 million because of the location.
Noy Valley.
$1.333. It's almost demonic, like 666. Okay? And let's say it loud and clear, she is a victim of economical rape.
Yeah.
An elder, a woman of color who has been a pillar of strength and activism in our community is being robbed. Shame on the people who didn't feel that it was worth their while to come today. Shame of them. We're going to fight along with Kathy. Let's not forget that we need to continue raising funds for those people who are being foreclosed. Don't count me in. I know how to fight, and I have resources. However, let's fight for everybody else who is being put on the ground, at street corner, dying because of the poverty pimps.
Are we tired of them taking our homes away?
Yeah.
Are we tired?
Hell yeah.
Are we tired of them stealing our homes?
Yeah.
Are we tired of them coming in and evicting us and foreclosing on us
Yes.
and throwing us out because they have the power to do it, or they think they have the power to do it? Are we tired of that?
Yes.
Well, you know what? They don't really have the power. They're the men behind the curtain. You remember the Wizard of Oz? The man behind the curtain. The man behind the curtain is a sham, and he thinks he has the power. But if the people in this country all got together, if millions and millions of people got together, guess what? He wouldn't be able to do anything. And that's what we need to do. We need to build this movement so that there are millions of us, and there are millions of us saying, you can't take our homes.
Yes.
I work at the Housing Rights Committee. It's a tenants' rights organization, and we are defending tenants who are being evicted in foreclosures, because a lot of people don't realize that sometimes the owner doesn't live in the house, but is renting it out to tenants. And the bank comes along and forecloses on the owner, and then comes knocking on the door and says to the tenants, you got to be out. Well, guess what? You don't, because in San Francisco there are laws protecting renters. There may not be laws protecting homeowners, but there's laws protecting renters. So the banks lie, and I see it all the time in my job. They lie to people. They go knocking on doors, and they tell people, you got to be out in a week, you got to be out in a month, you got to be out in 24 hours, whatever. They lie. They out and out lie, and we try to expose that lie. But we've all got to be doing it. We've all got to stand together behind the homeowners and the renters who are being evicted and foreclosed on, because we're all together in this fight. Right?
That's right.
We're all together. Because an injury to one is an injury to all, right?
Yeah.
So when they injure a homeowner, they're injuring not only the homeowners, but the renters too. They're injuring all of us in this country. All of us, all of the 99%, all of us who are working class and poor and middle class in this country. They're hurting all of us, right? Right. We need to stand together. I can't emphasize how important it is. I've seen what we can do when we stand together. We stopped the eviction of 3 Latina mothers, 3 Latina single mothers in the Mission. We stopped the eviction because we did a press conference in front of the bank and shamed them.
That's right.
And the bank insisted on meeting with us a few days later. And the woman from the bank looked at us, myself and people from Casa Justa, the other tenants group that were working on stopping this eviction. And the woman said, you know, I didn't appreciate turning on the news and seeing you folks standing in front of my bank shaming us. And I looked right at her and I said, well, we wouldn't have been there if you weren't trying to illegally evict these people. So you need to stop it.
Well, golly. Well, I've been out here 21 years, and I've been married to my wife for 21 years. Met her out here. I'm from Oklahoma. And so, indeed, we can't pay. Our total income for our month is my Social Security, which is a little over $600, and our house payments are $2,300, and my wife got downsized about 2 years ago, so she's handicapped, so we're stressed out. And we have a campaign going with the Seven Circles Foundation, a foundation that started about 15 years ago. They want to put me on payroll as the president of the Seven Circles, and therefore I'll have a salary to pay our house payments and other debts. And thanks to nice people like you who really care, and stay sweet. Thank you very much.
Over the years, many thousands of people, youth and elders, students, toddlers, prisoners, people in drug and alcohol recovery, the homeless, veterans, teachers, and many others have all had access to healing and learning on the Red Road.
You know, I work with the Homeless Action Center in Berkeley as an advocate. While on welfare and houseless, I fought the system to get the paper so I could give back. And I deal with Social Security law and public benefits, helping to fight the very system that holds folks down. And with SSI alone, to see what people get a month on SSI, can't even qualify for so-called affordable housing in our communities, because for affordable housing, you need to make $15,000 minimum a year, and we know damn well folks collecting $850 for a month or less do not make that. So that's real. And this is a setup from the get-up what the bank's doing here, Wells Fargo. It looks like they got a tactic and plan in place, and that's how they're doing this. I just want to say, I'm a formerly houseless mama with children who was homeless in Oakland for 4 years, living in a filthy storefront where my daughter caught tuberculosis spot on her lung, and my other kid had a high lead level count. The reason I was in that state, because I was foreclosed on in 1998. My mother has diabetes, had 2 life-threatening strokes, and really couldn't manage her stuff. Recently, I got to look at her medical records and saw that she was diagnosed with brain dementia. And yet, you know, that tells you, and this is something I didn't know until a couple of days ago, so this is hard. This tells you that, you know, when I got foreclosed on the property that my mom owned, the bank just basically came in and kicked us out, and I ended up houseless from that point for 4 years, and with my kids to go into public housing. Now I'm in affordable housing that's being taken over by a poverty pimp, nonprofit industrial complex, RCD, developer over in Berkeley who's going to make us pay another, forced to pay another deposit and basically move us into a hotel and make us pay full rent while we're doing that, and I want the hell out of there. So I got my own issues going on, and I just want to say, you know, the bottom line of this is you've got to do your research, all your stuff, get a lot of folks behind you, and fight back those big systems, because we've had successful outcomes. But the bottom line of this is we got to make the change. We got to be that change, because we cannot see our elders and our folks on disability and sickness ending up in a situation, because mind you, they can't even qualify for the so-called affordable housing. And no one should ever have to live in a place with bed bugs. I have an uncle right here in San Francisco, foreclosed on over on Brighton Street in the Mission, lived there with his girlfriend for over 25 years, and the landlord came in and kicked him out on the street. He had a stroke while he was moving his shit out on the street. And they ended up in the Crystal Hotel and would be kicked out 3 or 4 days a month so that they couldn't claim as tenants. And this is the kind of bullshit, illegal practices that they're doing in San Francisco.